Hello everyone and welcome to another car profile, otherwise known as the BoP test of course, and as you can see it's the Mclaren 650s GT3 car, one of my favourite cars personally in any game because I think it looks amazing, although I've not driven it in GT Sport yet until this very point. Shout out to Mclaren 6 as well because he loves this car, but he doesn't like the tyre wear, so I know tyre wear is a big thing on this car, but that's going to get added to the test later on of course. We've got 5 tracks to look at this car at, and it's an MR car of course, so mid-engined, rear-wheel drive. We're expecting it to act like the Ferrari and act like the Audi. So, Brands Hatch, first of all, we're testing undulations here, some curbs are here as well, and of course this is about high-speed corners and handling in those high-speed corners, especially at the rear section. Coming into Druids, paddock kill was no problem. Druids, again, no huge problems here as we accelerate out. We're looking to rev the car to the limit, and as you can see, we get a 16.9. Very strong car, this, at Brands Hatch as we continue on towards this left-hander. Dropping down to second gear. Got to be careful with the gears in this car. I did find that occasionally third gear was a bit spiky, but even so, we continue on all the same. At the moment, that's my time reference points at that bridge. We're doing very well as we get 42.1 into here. Look at the speed we're carrying through there. Lots of speed. This car loves to turn in, and unlike the Audi and the Ferrari in terms of MR, it doesn't spike the rear as much, which is nice. It means you can actually drive the car a little more and actually get some good times put in as we continue on now towards sector 4. As you can see, we're still up on our time here, 2 tenths up, just run wide a little bit. It did understeer slightly on that corner, not sure what caused that. Maybe it's because of where the rev range is in terms of gears and such. As we come through the last corner, just have to lift there slightly, pushing to the limit as we head towards the line. And of course, we've done this very early on, and we do quite a lot of laps at Brands just to get used to the car, 22.5. But our optimum is what we're looking for, a 122.060, the fastest car at Brands Hatch to date. It even beat the Porsche as we go to Dragon Trail. I was very surprised by that. We do a lot of laps at Brands to get used to the car. But wow, yes. And I think it could go faster. I was a little bit tired on the night I did this. But even so, we push on. Dragon Trail, we're testing curbs. As you see, no issues with curbs there at all as we continue on. We're testing curbs. We're testing the stability, the end of sector 2 on that right-hander. And of course, the chicane as well. Coming into here, I had to be very careful here. As you see, get oversteer on the exit of that corner. Not sure why that was happening. Top end of second, bottom end of third. Issues there. As we come into here, superb handling in this first section. As we come through this right-hander, all very well and good. Staying in 4th gear there to maximise the turning as we continue on. So we're way up on our time. Again, very early on in the session. Lap number 5 for this lap time. Of course, it's my fastest lap. We're looking at optimums, as I've just said. Through here, no huge issues. If you slightly overturn the car on that corner, it does start to oversteer fairly quickly. We get a 30.6, which is around where the fastest cars are. 30.5 if you're actually seeing through the chicane. No big issues there. Now the car is very wide, especially compared to the Z4 that we looked at. The Z4 was just after the turbo bar in terms of where it was, even though it didn't have a turbo, it was around there. McLaren's all the way over under the times, so you do have to be careful. That was the only thing I did struggle on, is the width of the car. Just leaving the last corner now. I did struggle a little bit there on exit as well, but if you straighten out the wheel as best as you can fly. A 136.7, and our optimum goes out to 136.5. Just misses out on being the fastest there. So this car is rapid in the high speed stuff. We get to Interlagos, and we're a bit further on lap number 8 here. And as you can see, we're not actually going that fast in terms of our optimum. 130.9 at the moment. As you see, we just get a bit of a slight 4-wheel drift going there through the center S. Did struggle there. Felt like I had a bit of understeering, and the sort of the way I hit the curb always unsettled the car a little bit. As we head to this left-hander, it struggled on this corner. There was no real nice place in the gear there where I could actually put my foot down, get good turning at the same time. Really did struggle there compared to other cars, which I think is where it loses most of its time on this circuit. As we continue on through here, we're going to brake down to second gear, down to first gear, try and get that turn in. Again, it struggles at the very slow stuff. I find it's got a lot of understeer in the slow stuff, which is why we struggled in the center S. We're struggling on the intersection here a little bit at Interlagos. as we come into this final right-hander. I did try first gear here, but second was just a bit more stable. As we come into this left-hander, you can see dropping off the throttle a little bit. That wasn't because of the bump per se, it was just a bit of understeer. Maybe the undulations just having a bit of an impact, because of course Interlagos full of undulations as we continue out. Now, one thing to note with this car, it is a power car. I did discover that obviously with Brands Hatch and Dragon Trail. It flies. It's way up there in terms of speed, and you'll see that at Suzuka, which is why it's going to do well in this last sector. We get another 30.9, but our optimum does go down to 130.8 eventually, so we're a couple of attempts off there, the quickest, and I think it's because it struggles in the slow corners. Fast corners it will annihilate, slow corners it does struggle a little bit, so it needs that downforce, needs the air pushing down to really help it, which is why when I came to Nurburgring I expected it to do not as good in the first sector, but we get an excellent exit to that first corner, and it's like the BMW Z4, same thing. Good exit out that first corner means you can then push the rest of this section. Coming into here, I mentioned the second gear, third gear issue here. It had massive issues here. You have to be really careful with the car. As you see, my Ghost is a bit further ahead. We get a 35.8 at this point. We do get a 0.6 here. Don't think we get a 0.5, just 0.6. It struggles massively in this section, this car. It really, really does. And it loses the most time ever. As you see, I put my hand up there just because I made a little bit of a mistake. But it really does struggle in that section. I found out as I did more and more laps, that's where it loses most of its time at Nürburgring. Through here we go as we accelerate towards the gantry there, 101.9. We should be down in the 0.7s or 0.6s. We do hit a 0.6, I think, at one point on one lap. But then I mess up on the lap, of course. You know, we're going for optimums, as I always say, not necessarily fastest. Into this left-hander, stay in third gear. You can just see me, I'm having to fight the wheel a little bit. The car's getting a bit unstable at the bottom end of third, top end of second. It really does struggle in that sort of range. As we accelerate now towards the chicane. Of course, this is a fairly balanced circuit. The chicane can make or break a lap. But the McLaren handles it quite well. It feels like it can go a lot faster through here than it actually does. Looking at split times versus other cars, which you can see in that Google spreadsheet, I put the tracks up individually there as well, so you can see the split times. It's even with other cars there. It's sector 2. It really does struggle. We get a 155.1 there, down to a 154.8 in terms of optimum. And again, 4 temps off the Lexus, but only a few temps off the Porsche. And obviously that's our big fight as we go towards Suzuka now, as we head towards the first corner. Suzuka, again, a balanced circuit. I was expecting good things from the McLaren in this first sector, but as you see, it does what the Audi does in the first corner there, just loses the rear a little bit. That is controllable, bit more controllable than the Audi, I would say. And we saw a little bit of Brands, but as I say, it's just a bit better, that tiny bit better. Through the S's we go. No huge issues, it's more just balancing the car a little bit. If you do try and push the car through here, you will experience quite a lot of oversteer, so just be careful of that. As we come through this left, you can see, look at that, I just power straight out of there, and I'm actually accelerating. I'm faster than what most cars are doing at this point as we head towards Tidgney 1 and 2, so I expected it to do well here. Through we go, and the next section, and it nails Tidgney 1 and 2 absolutely fine. Just a little bit of rear slide in there. Again, top end of second, bottom end of third, where it struggles. Into the hairpin. Hairpin, absolutely no issues at the hairpin. First gear, accelerate out. It's got all the grip in the world, really. Fires away. Absolutely no problems. As now we continue towards Spoon. C33-1, 19-0 so far. Sector 1, Sector 2, we're doing okay. Into Spoon we go. Break it down to third gear. And we're just trying to not go too wide there. As you see, it starts to struggle with the slower speed stuff. But because Suzuka is a bit quicker than Interlagos, for example, in sort of the midsection, we can push a bit faster and get a bit closer to the top contenders, which is where we were at Brands and Dragon Trail. As we come through the 130R, we can absolutely fly through there. Not quite as fast as the Z4. That was 147, 148. This one just a bit slower. Into the chicane. Through we go. No huge issues there as we head towards the line. So all fair play there as we cross the line. And our optimum is 158.511. Maybe a 10th in there. I was getting very tired at that point. I think it was close to midnight. Yeah, it was actually. You can see at the top right. But even so, here's the spreadsheet, and you can see it's come 4th place. It's not far off the Lexus, not far off the Corvette. It really is a good car, this car. I'm impressed. I am definitely impressed. More impressed than I thought I would be. So it takes the place of the Z4 from last time. So you can see all the information there. 157 at the speed trap. As I say, it's a power car. Just be aware that it's absolutely flat. It's power car with a bit of handling in there, which is why it's so good at Brands and Dragon Trail compared to all the other power cars such as the Dodge, which is a bit further down there. So you can see the comments, as I say. So very stable at mid to high speed corners, starts to lose grip in slower corners. I think that's because it's very downforce focused. You can see that with the design. It's a power car, very quick on straights, and can handle itself. So that's the reason why it's way up there. It does slide, and when it does go and snaps, it is very hard to catch. Keep that in mind. And the rear can lose itself quite easy when in second gear or the bottom of third. I have mentioned that, and some curbs, not all of them, do unsettle the car a tiny bit, but I think that's also because of where the gear is. Obviously, if you're on a slow speed corner, hit the curb, it's going to unsettle the car. Risk indicator, I've given it a 3 or 4. I'm not giving it a 4 because I think it's much safer than the Audi, or not much safer, but it's safer than the Audi, which is a 4. I think it's a 4. Let me just double check. Yes, it is a 4, which is why it's in between a 3 and a 4. But I hope you enjoyed that car profile. Unbelievable car, wasn't expecting it. My logo's there if you want to subscribe. The playlist there if you want to watch another car profile. And I'll see you soon with the next one.